Why many seniors feel the most alive after downsizing. It's strange how quietly it happens. One day you're surrounded by a life you spent decades building. A house full of memories, rooms filled with things you once needed, shelves lined with tokens of who you were. And without realizing it, all of it, on the walls, the closets, the furniture, begins to press in a little closer. Not with malice, but with a kind of weight. A heaviness you carry without thinking, until one day you feel it fully, and you realize it's too much. For years, we're taught to measure success by more space, more things, more proof that we've made a life worth something. But there comes a moment, often quietly, when that narrative no longer fits. When the life you fought to build no longer matches the life you want to live. That moment isn't about loss, it isn't about giving up. It's about release. It's about permission. Permission to let go of what no longer serves you. Permission to step into a life that feels lighter, freer, truer. Downsizing for many seems like a surrender from the outside. But those who have taken that brave step know better. Downsizing isn't shrinking your life, it's expanding it. It's clearing space not just in your home, but in your mind, your heart, your days. It's creating room for the things that truly matter now. Ease, simplicity, connection, peace. It's not about less. It's about more of the right things. Because when you shed the excess, the extra rooms, the cluttered drawers, the heavy obligations, what you're left with isn't emptiness. It's clarity. It's breathing room. It's a home that fits not the person you were at 30, but the person you are at 70. And in that smaller, simpler space, many find something surprising. Life feels bigger. It's in the quieter mornings, the lighter afternoons, the unburdened evenings. It's in the way the light pours through the windows. It's in the way you find yourself moving through your days with a new kind of ease, a new kind of gratitude. Downsizing isn't about losing, it's about choosing. It's about honoring the life you've built by crafting a space and a future that fits who you've become. And in doing so, many find they don't just feel lighter, they feel more alive than they have in years. For a long time, we don't notice the weight. The closets slowly fill. The garage gets a little more crowded. Cabinets overflow with dishes for dinners we don't host anymore. Closets bulge with clothes we haven't worn in years, and drawers are packed with things we keep just in case. It all creeps in, a quiet accumulation that becomes part of the scenery of our lives. We call it comfort, security, success, proof of a life well lived. But what we rarely admit is that with every object comes a thread of responsibility. Every square foot of space needs to be cleaned, maintained, heated, cooled, insured, repaired. Every object needs a place, and every place becomes something to manage. And as the years move forward, what once felt expansive can begin to feel suffocating. There's a hidden emotional cost to too much. It shows up in ways we don't always recognize. The afternoon we spend searching for something we can't find, the low-grade guilt about the rooms we no longer use, the fatigue from keeping up with a space that's larger than our lives require. And then there's the deeper, quieter cost, the cost to our spirit. When we surround ourselves with too much, we lose space. Not just physical space, but mental and emotional space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to move forward. Possessions begin to tether us to past versions of ourselves, to responsibilities that no longer fit. They keep us rooted not in who we are now, but in who we used to be, or who we thought we needed to be. We are taught, especially in earlier generations, that more is better, that a bigger house, a fuller closet, a busier life are signs of success. But at some point, often quietly, that measure stops making sense. The trophy house becomes an anchor, the packed shelves a burden. The idea of all this stops bringing comfort and starts feeling like a quiet weight we carry into every day. The truth is, what once served us can outlive its usefulness, and what once brought joy can eventually bring exhaustion. But noticing that weight is the first step toward something lighter, something freer. Because the moment we recognize that too much is not a blessing but a burden, we unlock the possibility of change, and with it, the possibility of a life that feels more open, more intentional, more alive. Letting go is not something we're taught to do easily. From a young age, we are encouraged to gather, to keep, to hold on to things that remind us of where we've been and what we've done. Objects become symbols, and symbols become sacred. But here's the secret so many discover later in life. Holding on doesn't always mean honoring the past. Sometimes letting go is the greatest act of respect for the life we've lived and for the life still ahead of us. Downsizing isn't about erasing memories or discarding what matters. It's about choosing what still carries meaning and releasing what no longer serves the person we are today. When we let go, we make room. Not just in our closets or our garages, but in our days, our thoughts, our hearts. Space opens up. Real, tangible space that lets us move more freely, think more clearly, breathe more deeply. And it's in that space that something beautiful happens. Joy sneaks in. Possibility takes root. Energy that was once spent on managing things is now free for living. Without the burden of maintenance, we find time for connection. Without the clutter, we rediscover creativity. Without the noise, we hear ourselves again. Letting go teaches us that we are not our possessions. We are not defined by the size of our homes or the contents of our attics. We are defined by the lives we lead, the relationships we nurture, the moments we create. Many seniors who have downsized describe a feeling they hadn't expected. Expansion, not a shrinking of life, but a widening. A sense of newness. As if by shedding the old skin of too much, they step into a life that feels fresher, lighter, more authentic. They talk about the joy of simpler living, about homes that are easier to care for, allowing more time to travel, volunteer, play, rest, about waking up to mornings without long lists of chores, about afternoons spent with friends instead of repairmen, about evenings filled with conversation and laughter instead of the hum of appliances needing attention. They talk about the pride of knowing that every object around them has a purpose and a place, that every item kept is a conscious choice, not a forgotten relic. Letting go is not giving up. It's making room. Room for joy, room for peace, room for the person you are becoming. It's giving yourself the gift of less, and in doing so receiving the gift of more, because in the space left behind by what you let go of, life steps in. We grow up believing that home is measured in square footage and bedrooms and bathrooms and how much we can fit behind four walls. For a long time, that definition serves us. As our families grow, as life fills up with activity and noise, bigger feels better, necessary even. But then, life shifts. Children move on. Rooms grow quiet. The space we once needed becomes space we no longer use. And somewhere deep inside, we start to feel it. The house that once echoed with life now simply echoes. This is the moment when many realize home isn't about how big it is. It's about how it feels. A smaller space doesn't mean a smaller life. In fact, for many, it becomes the opposite. Downsizing isn't about having less. It's about having what fits, what nurtures, what truly belongs in this chapter of life. In a home that fits, every room has a purpose. Every object has meaning. Every corner is filled not with forgotten things, but with quiet, deliberate life. There's a certain peace that settles into a right-sized home, a peace that grows from the knowledge that you are living exactly within the space you need, no more and no less. Smaller homes invite connection. They draw people together, into kitchens where meals are shared, into living rooms where conversations linger. They make room for creativity, for ease, for mornings spent lingering over coffee without a to-do list of maintenance projects hanging over your head. And the beauty is, when you let go of space that no longer serves you, you let go of the pressure that came with it. The need to fill, to decorate, to maintain appearances. What's left is authenticity, a home that reflects who you are now, not who you were 20 years ago. In redefining home, many find that they redefine comfort itself. Comfort becomes not the size of the house, but the ease of living in it. Peace becomes not in having more rooms, but in having the right ones. And joy becomes not in accumulation, but in appreciation of the sunlight through the windows, the quiet of the evenings, the ease of the days. A home that fits your soul doesn't have to be big, it just has to be yours, and fully, freely, joyfully yours. Downsizing isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Once the boxes are packed and the moving truck drives away, what remains isn't loss, it's possibility. A blank page. A quieter, clearer space in which to write a new chapter. Many seniors find that after downsizing, life begins to open in unexpected ways. Without the heavy demands of a larger home, time and energy are freed up, and what was once spent on upkeep can now be spent on living. There's more room for travel, spontaneous, weekends away without worrying about who will watch the house. There's more energy for hobbies, painting, gardening, writing, that once seemed too tiring at the end of a long day of home maintenance. There's more freedom to say yes, to dinners out, to volunteer work, to simply sitting quietly on a park bench and watching the world go by without feeling the pull of unfinished chores. Simpler spaces invite simpler living. And in that simplicity, many find a richness they never expected. Less clutter means more clarity. Fewer possessions mean more presence. Smaller spaces mean bigger moments, real, tangible, beautiful moments. There's also a shift in how we see ourselves. In downsizing, many rediscover parts of themselves that had been buried under the demands of too much. The creative spirit, the spontaneous soul, the adventurer, the dreamer. Life, it turns out, isn't in the things we own. It's in the experiences we gather, the conversations we have, the quiet mornings and lively afternoons and peaceful evenings that unfold when we're not weighed down by things. Many who downsize speak of a profound lightness, not just in their homes, but in their hearts. They talk about feeling more connected to their lives, more in tune with their days, more awake to the beauty around them. They talk about laughter coming easier, rest coming deeper, joy coming more often. Downsizing doesn't mean giving up the life you love. It means making space for the life that's been waiting for you, lighter, freer, and more fully alive. The best part? You're not moving backward. You're moving forward into a life that fits not who you were, but who you are becoming. A life with room to breathe, to grow, to dance in the spaces you've made by choosing what matters most. It's not less life. It's more life than ever. There's a quiet bravery in letting go. Not the kind that shouts or demands applause, but the kind that whispers in the stillness of an empty room and says, "You don't need more to be more." The kind that stands in a doorway looking out over a smaller, simpler space and feels not regret but relief. Freedom. Downsizing isn't about shrinking your life. It's about shedding the layers that no longer fit. It's about peeling back the expectations and the obligations until what remains is something leaner, truer, more honest. Something that feels like you. For so long, we are taught to measure our worth by accumulation, by the homes we build, the things we own, the space we command. But the real measure of a life is not in its size, it's in its fullness, its richness, its lightness. And often, that fullness comes not from adding more, but from having less. Less distraction, less noise, less weight on our backs and on our hearts, and in its place, more room to breathe, more time to love, more energy to give to the things that matter most. Those who have made the leap, who have packed the boxes, sold the houses, let go of the things that no longer serve them, will tell you, it's not the loss that stays with you. It's the gain. It's the way mornings feel lighter. It's the way afternoons are filled not with tasks, but with choices. It's the way your home feels not like a monument to your past, but a sanctuary for your present. It's the way you feel, alive, awake, free in ways you hadn't expected, in ways you hadn't dared to hope. Downsizing isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where life feels more spacious, even in a smaller home. One where you trade the weight of things for the weightlessness of being. One where you realize that home was never about square footage or stuff. It was always about you. And now, unburdened, unbound, unencumbered, you are finally free to live the life you were always meant to live. Lighter, truer, and more vibrantly, alive than ever. The best part of your story isn't behind you, it's right here. And it's just getting started.